One of the reasons that I bought the M140i was because of their tunability. Is that a word? I don't even know. I usually only keep cars for about a year before I get bored and decide to move on, but the B58/ZF platform you get in the 140 and quite a few other Beamers is a really good base if, like me, you're planning on keeping your car for a little bit longer. Now I have got plans for the B58 coming up very soon and I'm sure it'll be on the channel in the next few weeks or so, but today I'm focusing on that ZF transmission and how it can be improved, because although I think it's absolutely unreal compared to any other automatic car I've ever driven before, it is a little bit laggy and unpredictable. So while the car's still standard, I thought it would be a good time to give it a flash with the xHP software and find out what all the fuss is about. So, let's get into it. Now I've always been against the idea of having an automatic. I just love having a big knob in my hand all the time, don't I? I always thought anything other than a manual couldn't be a driver's car, but boy was I wrong. The recent lineup of BMWs have been unreal, and I know that handling wise the M-Lights are a country mile off being a proper M car, but as for performance they're not actually that far behind, you know. Like I said before the intro played though, the gearboxes are a little bit laggy. I didn't notice this that much until I had a play in a mate's F80 M3. The DCT box in that is so sharp you can barely tell it's shifting through the gears at all. Well, if it wasn't for the noise. But when you're pulling the paddles in the 140, so you actually know when it's changing gear, because it does have a bit of a mind of its own, there's an ever so slight delay before it does what you want, and ultimately that's the difference between the ZF being placed below the almighty DCT in the BMW transmission rankings. I love that meme. Now wherever you look, whether it's on forums, Facebook groups or here on YouTube, you can't really miss these three letters, xHP. And for you guys that miraculously don't know what it is, it's essentially a piece of software that's designed to extract the most out of your gearbox. And because I think the ZF could do with a little bit of improvement, I decided to go ahead and buy it myself. The difference between most videos on here to this one is that I'm doing the flash before I go ahead and map the car, and I don't think I've seen any examples of this being done on a standard car as of yet, not that I've watched them all like, so it'll be interesting to see what difference it makes. Anyway, big shout out to Kyle at Define Coding for reaching out, supplying and installing the flash for me. I might come across as a bit of a tech nerd, but me and computers just don't get along, so it is very much appreciated and it made things a hell of a lot easier. If you're thinking of doing the xHP flash on your car, you should definitely go check out Define Coding's website or Instagram, but it's not just gearbox maps that he can help you out with. If you're after boot mode, Apple CarPlay activation or any other kind of coding magic, he can probably sort you out. And the best part is you might not even have to travel all the way to London for certain things, as he can do some of it remotely now. The one good thing to come out of COVID, I guess. You can probably tell from the footage in the background that he flashed my car while I was sat on the driveway 300 miles away from him on a Friday morning before I went to work. It doesn't get much more convenient than that, does it? Genuinely a really nice fella to chat to and deal with, so yeah, go check out Define Coding and tell him I sent you. 10 minutes after starting the flash, everything was done and dusted. Now for the first 50 miles after the flash, you have to take it steady, you know, comfort mode, drive like a grandma, that kind of thing, and that's when I noticed the first big improvement. At low speed, the standard car's nice enough to drive, but when you're slowly rolling up to a junction or a roundabout and you want to nip out before a car comes, so you just apply a little bit of throttle, it just seems to completely shit itself and not know what gear to be in. Please tell me I'm not the only one to notice that. But with the xHP installed, it seems to have eliminated that problem altogether. You stamp on the throttle and you're off. There's no lag whatsoever at low speeds anymore. Another thing you'll notice when you turn the car on for the first time and take it out for a spin is that it now displays what gear you're in next to the driving mode. This is really handy if you're just tootling along and someone wants a bit of a play, because you already know what gear you're in, so it saves you from having to actually flick the paddle before it shows up on the dash. After the 50 miles though, you can really give it the beans and try out the Sport and Sport Plus modes. Now I typically only ever drive in Sport because I hate having lights on the dash, but I still like having the pops and bangs because I'm one shabby bastard. But I did push it for a few miles in Sport Plus once I'd run the mapping, you know, just for scientific purposes, obviously. Upshifts are noticeably quicker, and even faster still if you use the manual or sequential shifting mode. There's no lag anymore when you're using the paddles, it's virtually an instant gear change, putting it more in line with a dual clutch than I ever thought was possible. The best part about the flash in my opinion though is the rev matching. It is to die for. That's probably what sorted the issue out that I was having at low speed pulling out of junctions, come to think of it. It's only one of 10 things that the flash actually alters, but it makes the biggest difference and it's worth it just for that alone. Whether you're in comfort or one of the sport modes, it makes every downshift feel like silk. Not like every downshift in the standard car gives you whiplasher out, but it feels so much more stable now. Especially when you're decelerating from national speed limits, since the weight isn't getting transferred around as much now. There are a few other benefits to using this software as well, and I'll throw them up on screen now. If you want a full breakdown of everything that the xHP flash tool can do, not only to your 140 but to other BMWs, then don't hesitate to get in touch with Define Coding. He'll be able to answer any questions you have regarding pricing, installation, or any other techie bits like torque figures, etc. Is it worth a couple of £100 to do? Absolutely. The difference is night and day. I wanted a product that sharpened the performance of the ZF, and that's what I've got. And I've got a feeling that this mightn't be the last time you hear about the xHP flash tool, since the new M3 and new M4 have also had the ZF transplanted into them, so expect to see it around for many years to come. Right, that's all you're getting from me today. There are plenty of how-to guides out there if you wanted to know how to install this yourself. Obviously, I'm not qualified to do that since I had someone to do it for me, but I hope this gives you some kind of idea as to what the product is actually like, and you can make the decision whether or not to go ahead and buy it for yourself. I've got a couple more M140i videos lined up over the next few weeks, so feel free to stop around and subscribe if you want. Like the video and drop us a comment if you found it useful or just want to support the channel. And as always, the links to my socials are down in the description. There's no interesting on them at all, unless you like blonde spaniels that have a taste for eating wallets. Then you're in luck, I guess. But yeah, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!